Hey guys, just want to do a quick public service announcement kind of thing. This is for the Magic community and stuff, and it's an issue that I've been having a lot with my local play groups and stuff. Since the FNM that I go to is it's a lot more populated now. He's recently been getting a lot more new players and stuff, and even some of the other players that have been playing there for a while, they don't get certain things. The first issue that I'm going to address is taking notes, because this is the one that bothers me the most, I think, actually. So I play Delver a lot, as you know, and I play Gataxian Probe that. So in Cast Gataxian Probe, you get to look at another player's hand. And then when I do that, and I write their hand down, they get confused. They're like, oh, can you do that? I don't think you can do that. You're supposed to remember that stuff. That's incorrect. You are allowed to take any notes you want during the game. If you cast a Gataxian Probe, and you actually just don't say, and you don't say them, like as in you're waiting for it to resolve, and they just show their hand, you can actually write down their hand and then tell them that you're targeting yourself. That is legal. I've seen that happen before. It happens mostly with like Vendilion Click and stuff like that. But Vendilion Click, it's been getting better on that though, because sometimes it's a lot more common that you actually do it to yourself. But you can do that with Gataxian Probe. You can just say that you're casting Gataxian Probe, they reveal their hand, and then you write it down, and just like, well, I'll target me. I'll look at my own hand. It's a weird loophole, but like, say that your opponent has, for some reason, they can't be targeted. I don't really, I think there's something like that in Standard right now. I'm not sure. But say that they have that, you cast Gataxian Probe, they reveal their hand because they're just not thinking about that, and then it's like, write it down, then they're like, oh, you couldn't do that, and they're like, no, I'm targeting me. He just chose to reveal their hand. Another thing is, like, if they accidentally drop a card out of their hand, you are allowed to write that down. You want to write down any notes that you want. You just can't refer to outside notes during the game. You can refer to outside notes between sideboarding, I do believe. Yeah, you can, because you can bring sideboard notes and stuff. So there's most of that, I believe. I believe that's everything I need to say on that. And the other thing is shuffling. Like when you're like shuffling cards in your hand. I'll have like little video inserts of examples for that. So like, a lot of people have a misconception about why people shuffle. People think that it's to put your opponent on tilt or like psych them out and stuff, and that's not at all what it's supposed to be for. I'm sure there's some people that say that that's why they do it, but that's not really why you should be doing it. If you're saying you're doing it for that reason, you're probably not up at a high enough level to like try and Jedi your opponents and stuff, so you probably just shouldn't attempt it. But the real reason is to hide information. You see it a lot more with competitive players than you do like the more casual, just FNM players type of thing, because you need to hide information a lot better when you play more competitively. So one of the ways to do that is when you draw your card for the turn, you shuffle it into your hand so that your opponent doesn't know what you drew. Like if you don't do that kind of stuff, like it's actually kind of sloppy play. I've been playing against a lot of people who they have like different arts for the lands in their deck, and it's especially noticeable against those kinds of players. Not to like degrade them or anything by saying those types of players, but like just me personally, I have like OCD with my lands, and they all have to be the same art or I freak out. But so what they do is they like draw their land they draw their card, they put it like right next to the other ones, and then if it's a land, they usually play that one right away because that's the first one on their mind is, oh, I drew a land, why don't I play that? If they don't have a specific better land to play that's on the top of their head. Like I was playing one time against a player, and he had one Farce in his hand, and it was a Zendikar full art. He drew his card for the turn, and I knew it from like Gataxian Probe or something like that, or Duress or something, you know. And then he just plays the one that he drew for the turn, and it was a full art, but it was a different art, and I knew that, and so I was like, well, okay, so he's still got a Farce in his hand. Now that has more to do with like just tight play and stuff like that, but when you do that, say that your lands are the same art, so like, even if you draw the same one, same art and stuff, like, you shuffle it in, and you think about it a little bit, then you play whichever one that you want. Or, like, if you draw the same one, specifically don't play that card that you drew, play the other one. So that you don't give your opponents more information than they already have. And also a thing, like, if your opponent has, like, one out in their deck, like, say that they're waiting for a lightning bolt, and then they draw a card, and then they play that card right away, you don't have to worry about playing around that card. Like, if they just like, keep the cards in the same order, like, it's so easy to figure out what your opponent has based on information that you already have. So it's just easy to play around things like that. I'm sure that for some people, like the shuffling of the cards and stuff, that can probably put some people on tilt. Mostly, like, probably newer players and stuff. They can feel intimidated by that kind of stuff. But if you've been playing for any reasonable amount of time, it probably doesn't put you on tilt. Well, yeah, it's more of a competitive player kind of thing. Especially like people like Brian Gilbert, they're just like psychotic with it and stuff. It's really interesting to watch him though. But that's basically what there is to that, and I just wanted to get this out there, make sure everyone can see this so that they don't have weird misconceptions about it and stuff. But that's all for right now, so I'll see you guys later. Peace.